Thank you for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. We've been speaking about the U.S. Renewed commitments to enhancing security in Nigeria and in the West African region following the visit of the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, to 4 countries in the West African sub-region. Patrick Agbambu is an analyst at this time, security and public safety expert. He's been sharing his thoughts with us. A follow-up question to what I asked earlier, Mr. Agbambu, is still on the subject of human rights abuses, but this time around narrowing it down to the air bombings that we have seen of late. Even in the papers this morning, the deadly bombing that occurred by the armed forces, aerial bombings in Nasarawa State about a year ago. Amnesty International is talking about just the victims still awaiting justice 1 year after. Of course, we are mindful of the fresh one that occurred in Kaduna State, where so many innocent lives were lost. And there's been so much outcry over how this could have happened. And even the international community is also asking questions. What do you say in this regard, especially with this, renewed international partnership?
Yeah, I must say that I'm disturbed and I'm worried about such situations. When you look at it, that in spite of all the good intent, that we still have these errors coming up. It's sad that some innocent Nigerian citizens, taxpayers, as they may be, their lives being cut short by errors of some trained personnel of the armed forces or whatever security agencies. It's quite sad, and it calls that there's need for serious scrutiny and serious supervision of the activities. Again, when the response of the security forces immediately after this 2 particular incidents you mentioned was quite encouraging because investigation was carried out and serious examining what must have led to those issues were carried out. I know that for the Nasarawa incident, a report is already carried out, and the Nigeria Air Force have seriously looked into it and trying to make some reforms that will make it not to happen again. The one of the Kaduna was a very, very serious incident that the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Lagwaja, personally went there to ensure that find out what actually happened and how did it happen after a briefing by his men. And the result, as we speak, is that so many people who are being indicted are being questioned on why such situation as investigation is going on. Very soon, the outcomes of all this will be made available for those who need to know. Some of the military and security investigations that has to do with operations are not for public consumption, because among the publics are also the enemies of the society, and so there is need to know in most of the issues when it comes to in terms of security, but the ultimate is ensuring that these things does not happen again. All over the world, you have situations like that. Collateral damages comes out, but they must be minimal in the effect. It shouldn't be what should be continuous. Nigeria has been in a state of war for over 12 years. And in situations like that, you cannot totally rule out situations we see happening. But it mustn't continue, it must stop.
So Blinken is seeking progress in combating coups and extremism in West Africa. What do you think will be the impact of his visits to the 4 West African countries?
Yeah, the impact is, I would say, is welcome. It's part of the U.S.-African partnership that cuts across many sectors, like you pointed out. And you see, coup in in any part of the world is not welcome in this modern day as we speak. And but the main cause of coup is governance. And if the people, do not see the impact of governance, then there is need to look for a change, whatever means. But coup or military incursion in governance, I must say, is outdated. It's not what anybody who seek for development should clamor for in these modern days. But looking at it in some of those societies, I can tell you some of the reasons that engineered, or will I say encourage the situation we saw in some parts of Sahel, in Mali, in Niger, in Burkina Faso, in some of those areas, some attempt recently in some other countries that failed. These are all boils down to the citizens not being too happy with the government in power. But one of the responsibility of government is also civil education, to let the people know that even though you may not be happy with what is happening in governance, you have opportunity to change that government and elect those who believe can do better after some years. But when a leader tries to perpetuate himself in power, extend time, then people become impatient, and that is what leads to this coup. Most of these countries are experiencing lack of proper governance, and that is the reason why we are seeing it. It's not purely a security issue, it's purely political and economic reason that are fueling it. So as the United States government is concerned with this situation, I think that they're also looking into how to improve the economic well-being of the people in this region, and also looking at the interest. There are serious reasons why all these coups are happening. The political interest is one, but more importantly is economic interest and the foreign interests that have helped to fuel all this coup for change of regime and bringing in people who will be in support of the interests of that foreign country. That is what has been happening. And I believe that the United States government, in this visit, in this trip that the Secretary of State is carrying out, so much achievements will be realized.
And of course, you've spoken, you are mindful of the growing influence of Russia. Would you also say that, things should just remain as they are? The U.S. government is also mindful of this, but are you looking more at the brighter prospects that it brings to Africa, especially West Africa, how that it could mean a safer sub-region?
Yeah, I made a presentation somewhere and I said Africa, and particularly the Sahel, which includes West Africa and Central Africa and East Africa, it has become a playground of the big boys, where they want to exert power and show their might, and reasons being economic control, majorly, because incidentally, God had blessed these regions, these countries with enormous natural resources which remain untapped. And so these powers wants to see how to control the government, control the territories, and exploit these resources to their own advantage. Not primarily, not majorly for the advantage of the citizens of those countries. That has been the situation that is playing out. And we have seen some countries being controlled by, today as we speak, by non-state actors. You go to Central African Republic and go to some other countries in the Central Africa region. You find out that the non-state actors are controlling these, but they are being remote controlled by some of these world powers, the Russia, the China, and the United States of America with its allies. And this is not welcome in the region. Most of these incursions we are having seriously, which we have also advised the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to be very, very careful is the recent agreement signed by the Cameroon government with Russia to have a military base. We have seen some of all these positions in Niger, the various military bases that are also competing for presence in those areas. You go to Mali, you will see some of all this. Why the French West African countries are trying to reduce the influence of their colonial master, France. Some other interests, mighty powers are also coming to continue to exploit them, and that is a big threat to security in the region, and is a bigger threat, I must say, to also Nigeria, because we must be concerned in what is happening in those countries and who controls the interest in those countries, so that we can remain protected. If we allow this to continue, then it becomes a big problem to us politically and even security-wise.
All right, Patrick Agbambo, public safety and security expert, we thank you very much for your contributions on TVC Breakfast this morning.